So we're going to dive into the concept of amortization. Let's go ahead and just dive right in here. So amortization is when interest is paid off more heavily earlier in a loan and principal is paid off heavier later within the same loan. So some quick definitions. Interest is just going to be extra debt that you pay on the loan, and the principal is going to be your ownership within that loan. So let's take a look at a real world example here, and we're going to examine the amortization on a home loan, which is the most common type you will see. So let's say you got a 30-year fixed mortgage loan. We're going to say the loan amount was for $440,000, and let's say you got this at a 4% interest rate. So let's see what the amortization looks like on a loan like this. So it's typically, when you see amortization charts, they're going to look like this with years on the x-axis and then the payments, money on the y-axis. And usually you're going to have something that looks like this with the balance left to pay is going to be defined in blue. The principal acquired on the loan or the principal paid off is going to be in green, and the extra debt or interest is going to be in red. So just looking at it like this, it's a little difficult to figure out what's going on, so let's break it down a little bit. So right here, this is going to be the total amount of interest you paid over 30 years on this loan, which is about $316,000. And then if we draw this line up to the top, the principal that we've paid off, that's going to be over 30 years, $440,000 we paid off in principal, which was the original amount of the loan. And if you want to see how much you've paid over the 30-year period, that's going to be the interest plus the principal. So all that tallied up together means you've paid over $756,000 total on this 30-year loan. But let's break down the amortization and what all of this means. So remember, blue was the balance left to pay, and if you break it down in yearly increments like this, it means you started with $440,000 left to pay on the balance, and over 30 years you get that all the way down to zero. And now the balance is paid off and you own 100% of the house. Now let's look at that green line when we break it up by 30-year payments, and remember that's the principal that you've paid off on the loan. And over 30-year payments, remember you started paying off $0 on the loan in year 1, and then by all the way by year 30, you've paid off $440,000 and you have acquired full ownership of the house. Now let's look at the interest payments over 30 years. So remember, the payments are 30 years separate there. So you start by paying zero interest, and over time you end up paying all that interest, and that is all the interest you've paid over 30 years. But the real way to understand amortization is, what do your year-to-year payments look like on this schedule? So let's go ahead and break that down. So let's say blue is your total yearly payment, and we're going to break that up and look at 30 years worth of payments right here. And if you notice right here that the total payment amount is actually the same from year 1 to 30. So with this loan number, you'd actually end up paying about $25,207 per year. If you break that down, you'd pay about $2,100 every single month. But again, the payments would be the same total from year 1 to year 30. So I think rather than looking at the charts we saw at the beginning, this is the best way to understand what amortization is. So we're going to take a look at principal paid per year and interest paid per year on your yearly payment schedule. And we're actually going to get rid of this total yearly payment and break it down just looking at principal and interest. So if you look at this right there, you see there's a lot more red in the first part of the loan, a lot more green in the last part. So let's actually compare year 1 to year 30 on this loan. And so in year 1, you're going to pay only about 30% towards the principal, and you're paying 70% in the interest or extra debt payments. By year 30, you're paying about 98% towards the principal and 2% towards the interest. And as you'll see, this is going to steadily decline throughout the loan as it shifts more from interest to principal. And it's not just linear, it actually is somewhat exponential to where by year 30, you're paying essentially no interest. So let's answer that original question, what is amortization? So the best way I can remember is interest equals the early part of the loan and principal equals the later part of the loan. Hope this video helped. Have a nice rest of your day.